Would you remain silent if your best friend became the target of a planned crime, even under the protection of a system that's supposed to safeguard him? This sharp question was reportedly spoken by Jungkook during a closed-door meeting involving several influential figures in the global music industry, one of whom was Coldplay's lead vocalist, Chris Martin. No one predicted that a discussion initially held in private would turn into a stage for a shocking revelation that is now shaking the global K-pop community and the international entertainment world: the issue of V, or Kim Taehyung, becoming the victim of a structured crime is not news that emerged overnight. However, when someone like Jungkook, a core member of BTS, chooses to speak publicly about what he refers to as psychological attacks and real threats against Taehyung, the narrative escalates into a serious allegation. Chris Martin's reaction reportedly could not be hidden. Internal sources stated that he appeared shaken, remained silent for a long time, and even left the room before the discussion ended. So, what really happened? And why does Jungkook feel compelled to speak out now? Circulating information suggests that the crime in question is not just digital threats or hateful comments from netizens, but rather internal pressure, voice suppression, and intimidation involving parties yet to be named. Taehyung is under severe pressure. Even before he entered the military, things happened behind the scenes that we can no longer hide. Jungkook said in his statement, as conveyed by several X, Twitter accounts and TikTok videos claiming to have recorded parts of the conversation. It is important to emphasize that as of the writing of this article, there's been no official confirmation from HYB's agency or from Chris Martin himself. This is not just about an idol receiving threats. It's about how the entertainment industry, which has long been admired for its perfection and performance, turns out to harbor a much darker layer of reality. Chris Martin, known as one of the most humane figures in the international music industry, reportedly was not ready to accept the fact that one of his collaborators in My Universe was in a critical condition. He is known to highly value personal relationships, and his involvement with BTS was more than just professional cooperation. Hence, his emotional response is considered understandable, even touching. But again, a big question arises. Why did Jungkook choose this moment to speak out? Is there urgent pressure that made him unable to wait? Or is this part of a communication strategy to gradually reveal the truth? One highlight is Jungkook's firm statement that this can no longer be tolerated. He didn't name anyone, didn't provide evidence, but expressed emotion and concern very clearly. We may look strong, but we are human too. And Taehyung has been holding all this in for too long, he continued. That sentence is not just a personal statement, but also a public call that idols need protection, that they are not just entertainment products. Unfortunately, when public emotion is at its peak, factual clarity becomes blurry. Is all this true? Are Jungkook's statements entirely factual, or is part of the narrative distorted by interpretation and amplification from social media? Until now, there is no authentic proof or official recording confirming that this conversation really happened in that closed forum. Much of the content circulating comes from video clips, unclear audio recordings, or even unverifiable transcripts. This is where the public's critical attitude is crucial. Not all viral information is factual. Not every emotional confession reflects objective truth. And not all celebrity reactions can be read as indicators of real events. The question now becomes reflective. Are we witnessing Jungkook's courage in defending his friend from actual criminal pressure? Or is this merely an emotional narrative formed from assumption and collective perception? Is it true that Chris Martin was truly shocked because the incident was completely unexpected? Or was his surprise triggered by how the story was framed? The public must learn to read deeper. Is the agency silent because they are unaware or because they want to cover it up? Why haven't mainstream media outlets officially reported this news? And why is social media the main stage for this issue's development? We remind readers that all the information in this article is sourced from online discussion trends, video clips, and reports from social media, which, until now, lack full verification. Therefore, we urge you not to accept this information at face value. Consider the possibilities of manipulation, opinion steering, or even hoaxes designed to attract attention or create mass sympathy. Is this the bitter truth of the K-pop industry finally revealed? Or is it just the peak of a media manipulation iceberg? The answer may never be fully clear, but one thing is certain. The public has the right to know, and the public is also responsible for seeking the truth wisely and critically, because in the end, no matter how big the news, it will only matter if the public remains sharp thinkers, not just followers easily led by opinion. However, in responding to every piece of information that develops, especially those that stem from emotional statements by public figures like Jungkook, there must be a moment to pause and think clearly and critically. Are we witnessing a moment of honesty that is sincere and touching? Or is this a narrative that has been crafted and polished to create a massive wave of public opinion? In the digital era that moves rapidly, where information spreads in seconds, we as news consumers have a great responsibility to sift through, not merely absorb. Does Jungkook's statement about V BTS being a target of crime truly reflect the reality that is happening? Or is it a form of emotional frustration that is being overly interpreted by the public and social media? On the other hand, what about Chris Martin's surprise? Did he truly not know the dynamics behind the scenes of the K-pop industry? Or was this simply a diplomatic expression used to maintain public relations? These questions need to be asked, not to doubt individual credibility, but to maintain the integrity of the information consumed by the public. We cannot deny that the entertainment world, especially K-pop, has complex layers that do not always appear on the surface. Many narratives are built strategically. Many emotions are framed in such a way to create emotional resonance with the audience. So, the question is this event purely a reflection of an artist's suffering or part of a much larger narrative game? This is the reflection we must encourage in the public. Do not be quick to believe. Do not be easily swayed by emotional flows that are designed to evoke sympathy. Let us treat each piece of information as material for evaluation and study. Is this information trustworthy? Are the sources valid? Are there hidden motives in its distribution? We live in an era where information can easily be manipulated. With voice and image editing technology and social media algorithms that amplify emotional content, it is very easy for the public to be deceived. Even hoax news can appear very convincing if packaged with a strong narrative. So, how likely is it that Jungkook's statement has been twisted? Did Chris Martin really respond as reported? And if it is true, why is there no effort for clarification from the parties mentioned? The public must realize that the truth does not always appear in obvious forms. Often, the truth lies in the cracks between conflicting narratives. Therefore, it is important not to rely on just one source or perspective. Look wider, listen more, compare data and facts. And most importantly, ask questions. Is this all a reflection of Taehyung's real suffering? Or is this instead a tool to create a certain communication agenda? We must not rule out the possibility that this incident could have two sides, the human side and the strategic side. Is Jungkook voicing a long-buried truth, or is he part of a narrative strategy controlled by certain parties?